like what CNN is telling you, just watch Fox. They'll tell you something different.
No, they'll tell you the exact same thing, but they'll just change the words. They'll make it look like it's good instead of bad.
Somebody gives them talking points every morning. I mean, look how many fucking compilation videos there are containing 50 news companies saying the exact, fucking word for word, the exact same shit.
Yeah, that shit's crazy.
They're told what to say.
You guys see the GoFundMe for the wall?
Yeah.
It's got to be over 10 million now, right?
I don't know.
Somebody put a GoFundMe up for ladders to get over the wall.
No.
Yeah.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that shit.
That's hilarious. Why don't they just... You really want to stop it? You really want to stop it? Make it a fucking range.
Yeah.
Fucking burn that bitch up. Put 1,000-meter ranges in, or mortar ranges, or whatever the fuck it is. You want to stop it? We don't want to stop it.
Yeah.
Or whoever the puppet master is, whoever's controlling that day, or whoever your fucking mouthpiece is, they don't want that shit stopped. They can fucking stop that. Did fucking goddamn North Korea and South Korea? Were motherfuckers walking across there? No, they weren't, because they didn't want them to.
Yep.
There's motherfuckers in Vietnam still getting blown up from landmines. They don't want that shit stopped. Just like we don't want to stop the war on drugs. And when I say we, I don't mean me. I haven't had coffee since Saturday, probably. Nope, still don't need it. God, this is terrible. What did you put in it?
Well, I put some heavy cream and some sweeteners. That was
Some
it.
ginseng.
Why do you drink coffee? Why every morning you come like, can I have coffee? Why do you want coffee? Wake you up? You can do that with a scoop of something and not have to drink, because that tastes like shit. I like coffee
It tastes perfect.
when it tastes like cinnamon rolls or pumpkin pie or sugar. I like coffee that tastes, and when I cut out all the sugar, I kept drinking the coffee because I realized it was just a habit to drink the coffee. But really, when I stop and think about it, I'm like, this
That's
really
what it
fucking
is.
does not taste good. Why the fuck am I drinking this? Would you like some bacon, Jeff?
No.
You sure?
Of course I want bacon. What kind of question is that? I'm just practicing for when I'm in the gulag.
I'm gonna gulag.
I'm in the gulag.
Everybody wants to know on your opinion on the bump stock in NRA.
I want to know my opinion on the bump stock in the NRA. Okay, I can do that. The bump stock is a novel gimmick that makes people have fun when they're shooting their rifle. You can do the same thing without the bump stock, with your belt loop. If you actually hold it right, you don't need any device to make your rifle bump like that. So the bump stock is a gimmick. Now, all you pro-gun guys that are jumping up and down about Trump this, Trump that. I can't believe he's going after our bump stocks. Okay, first off,
How many guys bothered to even buy a bump stock?
yeah, most of you probably don't even have a bump stock that are complaining about it. Now, there are those triggers, I can't think of the name of it, where you fire and release and fire. Those triggers?
Bionic.
Yeah, bionic. And
You remember the Hellfire?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they actually went after Paul Fodda, Branch Davidian, Waco, Texas. I was in fucking Lompoc with him for 2 years. That's what he was in there. That was his conspiracy to manufacture machine guns. They had those, the cranks. That every fucking dude at a gun show, every other table, we saw those.
Which are technically legal by the ATF standard. So, bump stock. Here's the deal. I don't own one. I don't care to own one. But that doesn't change the fact that you currently have a federal government that's going after bump stock. Unfortunately, anytime you have a weapon, whatever it is, next month it could be swords, that is skylined due to some sort of violence. So the bump stock was skylined because of violence. It's also the reason why those bump stock manufacturers started charging $600 and $700 for those pieces of plastic, and people were still buying them because it was immediately skylined by the shooting in Las Vegas. Anytime a weapon system gets skylined for that for that kind of crime, whether it's the AR-15, except Glocks. For whatever reason, I don't know why Glock has not been skylined, except for the fact that they pay billions and billions of dollars, not billions, but they pay a lot of money to lobbyists to make sure that Glock doesn't get brought up. Because if you statistically look at weapons, Glocks shoot more people in the United States than any other firearm. But that's another story.
Because there's more of them.
Well, yeah, it's because it's the popular.
Plus, you can say cool shit like D-Lock.
It's the popular piece to carry. So if you're talking about a firearm that is killing more people in the United States, it's not the AR-15. It's actually the Glock, probably 17.
What about High Point?
High Points. I think they buy High Points to put on necklaces or steering wheels because they don't shoot. There's no
You gotta use
bullets
the
that
kill
come
shot.
at it.
Kill shot.
Oh, if you do the kill shot,
We're gonna do a line of patches. It's gonna be Grendel, High Point, Jennings, Davis. You know all the high end.
high end guns. What all the rappers carry.
We're gonna do them with real gold thread.
Real gold thread. So, anyways, when we talk about the bump stock, especially like everybody's yelling at the NRA. Look, there might be. I currently do not belong to the NRA, and I will not join the NRA because of things that the NRA has. Because of things that NRA has done in the past that directly affected me. But the NRA as an organization still needs to exist because, unfortunately, they are the only ones that are doing anything to protect your firearms in the United States. Now, the problem is you, the consumer, are out there playing checkers, and the NRA and Trump are playing chess. Now, let me explain it to you. First off, everybody got upset because the NRA went, ATF, evaluate the bump stock. And everybody went bananas. Look, the NRA knew something that you were either unaware of or buried your head in the sand because you wanted to run around and complain about something. The ATF had already ruled on this. They had already ruled on this. By having the ATF, by saying, okay, we're going to let the ATF handle this. You all nutbags went bananas against the NRA, when the reality is the NRA knew exactly what was going to happen. The ATF was going to come back and go, this is what constitutes a machine gun. This document right here that was put out in 1934 is what constitutes a machine gun.
That document says one trigger pull, one bullet, or one trigger pull multiple. There is a video right now all around Facebook of a man who was one of the evaluators for the ATF that said this does not meet the guidelines of a machine gun. The trigger is pulled for every bullet that comes out. This is not a machine gun.
This is not a machine gun. So the NRA knew that that's how the ATF was going to rule on this. They couldn't rule any other way because the law says this is what constitutes a machine gun. The bump stock does not meet that criteria. So the NRA knew that the time would pass, people would stop thinking about it, and they were hoping that another nutbag wouldn't jump out of the woods with a bump stock and shoot up a bunch of people. Because they would have to rule in favor of the bump stock, which they did. They did. Now you've got people in Congress who want to do another crime bill, or not another crime bill, but a federal ban. They don't want to do a federal ban on bump stocks. They want to do a federal ban on high-capacity magazines or standard-capacity magazines. And they want to do a ban on semi-automatic rifles that look military. Okay? That's what they really want to do. And they're going to use the bump stock to make that legislation. Right? They're going to be like, ooh, the evil bump stock. ATF did not rule in favor of banning the bump stock, so let's make legislation that says you can't own a bump stock. Well, they're also going to include 30-round magazines, anything that looks like a military rifle, shotguns that hold over 2 rounds. They're going to throw all that in the law. But they're going to hold up the bump stock and go, it's for the children. And everybody in Congress is going to vote for it. And then you will have weapons that you can no longer have because of this. Now, that's how it's supposed to work. I don't know if Donald Trump is an evil genius or if he's just a lunatic. He may very well just be a lunatic, but he's a lunatic evil genius. Because this is what Donald Trump did that all you people are whining about. Donald Trump said, ban those stocks. ATF, change your opinion and make those things machine guns so they're illegal. So what does ATF do? They got to do what the president says. So they make those stocks, ooh, federal government says they're illegal. Guess what, people? That is not law. It's not law. It's not real. It's already being challenged in the courts. So what's going to happen? It's going to get challenged in the courts, and because they did not open up the machine gun registry, and they did not offer to buy those stocks back from you, it's illegal. If Donald Trump would have said, hey, everybody with the bump stock, just go ahead and let us know you have it, and we will issue a serial number, and you can keep that, but that's it, no more. Like they did with machine guns. Or if he came out and said, hey, everybody with a bump stock, fair market value, we're buying those back. And they're going to be illegal after that. There's precedence for that. That could be legal. But because of what he just did, it's totally illegal. They're probably going to put an injunction on it. They're probably going to put an injunction on it like tomorrow, meaning you can still buy bump stocks because this is going to be in the court systems for the next 5 years. I want you to think about that. It's going to be in the court system for the next 5 years, at least, maybe even longer. What does that mean? What that means is during that injunction period, you can still go out and shoot your bump stock. People will still be able technically to buy bump stocks if that injunction goes through. So it means that he really didn't do anything except pretend like he did something. Now, if you don't believe me, look up Dianne Feinstein's webpage, and she is 100% against what Donald Trump did. 100% against what Donald Trump did. Think about that for a minute. Why would the biggest gun grabber in America be upset that Trump just banned bump stocks? Because she knows that this thing that Trump did is going to be locked up in the courts for the next 5 years, and Congress won't be able to do anything about it. So Congress can't even tomorrow go, you know what? We're just going to ban bump stocks. Fuck everything else. That's all. We're going to make a law that says bump stocks are illegal. Because it's already in the system. It's already in the court system. They have to now wait for the court to rule whether it's legal or not legal. So he just tied the bump stock up for 5 years. Minimum of 5 years. Where it's not going to matter if you have one or not. What you really need to be looking at is the local municipalities that are doing it. Because when New Jersey says you cannot have a bump stock, that is actually more important than Donald Trump saying you can't have a bump stock.
Didn't they just say 10 round max?
New Jersey just did 10 round magazines.
And are they in fact going door to door like you're seeing in all the Facebook shit, or is that not happening?
I can't imagine. I can't imagine that they're going door to door.
So
it's real easy for a politician. It's real easy for a politician to go,
we're going to do this.
this is what we're going to do. We're going to build a wall. It's real easy for them to say that, but enforcement is totally different because on the enforcement side, you have law enforcement officers. You have law enforcement officers that will not enforce that rule. Now,
that's also the dude when he goes to that door. That's the dude not going home that night.
And unfortunately, a lot of law enforcement agencies have been compromised. So there are people on departments that will be like, yes, let's go confiscate the magazines.
There's on a psychological profiling to be a law enforcement officer, there's been a change in the questions. And you guys can look this up. You can talk to cops that are currently coming in. There's a lot of young blood coming in. Younger kids who believe different things than we believe. And that's the whole change. They're bringing in their own people, and they're weeding out the people that would be more like you or us on the psychological. The questions have changed. The profiling has completely changed. They are hiring a whole another type of person, and less. They're not looking for that ex-special ops guy. They're not looking for that military dude. They're not looking for those guys. They're looking for the people that will do and enforce the laws as they want them enforced. Just start looking at, find that little thread and start pulling that. There's a lot of shit out there on. There's a lot of videos on dudes saying that who are law enforcement or have gone through and taken those psychological reviews and the profilers on that. The other thing too is Trump's kid is a huge gun dude. He is at every fucking NRA show. He is at gun shows. A huge, not just a hunter, a shooter, big gun guy, like huge gun guy. We have fucking 20 people that I can think of off the top of my head that have photos with him at fucking gun shows and at events that are gun related. So I'm sure there's a little bit of influence. I'd have to kind of think that dad is kind of the same way as son. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but and then the other thing too is I get why they're doing that. Like that's just one more chisel away. And for you guys on the other to play devil's advocate, the guys going, who gives a shit that they banned bump stocks? Bump stocks were fucking stupid. That's the mentality too. There's a little bit of psychological there too. If it's easy to give up one thing, it's easier to give up the second. It's easier to give up because you're in that fucking lose mode. So I mean, there's both sides to it. I didn't even hear any of this shit you had just said. I didn't fucking take it.
The other thing to think about when you're looking at what Trump did, Trump actually, or the way the ATF worded it, the way they put it in there, they talk about rates of fire. So now it's any device that increases your rate of fire. Now, I'm sure there are going to be plenty of shooters out there. There are going to be plenty of shooters that can demonstrate that they can increase the rate of fire of an AR-15 with their finger just as much as you can with the bump stock. Like,
that's not going to bring the bump stock back. They're going to fucking ban your... You start demonstrating that stuff.
I'm just saying...
You're going to skyline other devices.
Like, once this thing goes... this is just my opinion. My opinion is once this thing goes to court, it's going to languish in court. All these things take time to be...
Trump won't even be president anymore.
Yeah, Trump won't even be president by the time they rule on this, officially rule on this. And what I believe is going to happen is it is going to get thrown out. When it gets into the court system is going to go, look, man, you're denying, first off, you're denying property without compensation. You're denying legal property without compensation. And second, this does not fit the definition of a machine gun by law. That's the only, once you get into the court system, that's the only thing that matters, is by law. So what you will see is in the next administration, after Trump is gone and some liberal Democrat has taken over the White House, Congress will pass legislation that will change the 1934 law to modernize it, to include the bump stock, to include 30-round magazines, to include AR-15s. The worst is down the road. This stupid stuff that Trump is doing, all Trump is doing is going like this. I don't have to deal with it. I don't have to deal with it. He's just kicking the can down the road. Chances are, highly predictable, you're going to hear it here first, that this is going to get, this opinion letter is going to get destroyed in the courts. So that the ATF, them changing the wording, it's going to get destroyed in the courts. The thing you have to remember is, as John just said, it's not about the bump stock. It's also about the arm brace. So the arm brace that you get,
any trigger that modifies your gun in any manner. There's a lot of shit grouped in with that shit.
all the guns right now that they're selling that are called firearms. So all those little shotguns you see running around, all that considered firearms, those are all ATF opinion letters. That's all they are. They are not law. There is no law that says that the brace is legal. There's an ATF opinion letter. they've actually changed their mind on that thing twice since the braces
because
came out.
you dipshits kept fucking bringing it up.
But the thing to remember is those are opinion letters. So if the ATF can change their mind at any given time, there's a whole class of firearms that could be illegal tomorrow, just like that. Poof. Sorry, we misspoke. Everybody seems to be using their pistol brace as a shoulder stock. That's not what it was intended for. Those weapons are all illegal now. That's the stuff you need to be looking at, not this bump stock. I mean, the reality is, you should be once they start paying for bump stocks, you should just be cutting your belt loops off and going in and trying to get your $200 or whatever they're going to pay for those damn things for the turn-in.
And what are bump stocks? They were selling for $700. Is that the current market value? So if they had to do a recall, would they have to pay you what you paid, or would they have to pay you what it could be currently?
No,
sold
it's kind of like eminent domain when the government wants to steal your land because they want to put up a $1 billion train that's never going to work.
$4 billion train.
Yeah. When they do that, they decide what the market value is. So they'll just be like, "Oh, your land is only worth $10,000
in one municipality where that train's going through. They need 1,026 properties seized through eminent domain. They are currently running through and building through. They have still not fucking secured 1,000 of those properties. They've turned off 3 years ago the almond farmers and your farms who have literally been like 6 generations, like hundreds of years. They've turned the water off to the point where all those trees have been cut down, all those orchards and shit in that town. I watched a video on it a couple weeks ago about that.
Drive through I-15 through Temecula down towards San Diego and look at all the avocado farms that used to be on all the hills. There's still some holdouts, but the same thing. The government paid those people money to put those farms on those hills because they're like, well, we can't do nothing with these hills. It would be great if people could farm on there. Let's put farms on there. And now those municipalities are turning the water off so they can't grow those crops. So if you drive through there, what you're going to see is, you're going to see a bunch of stumps. They're all over the side of the hills.
Most of them are painted
and they're all painted white. Or blue, yeah. It's to keep them from growing again. Those avocado farmers are going to leave that area. It's the same thing in California. You know, hey, California is the #1 almond producer in the world. So in California, think about this. The #1 almond producer in the world, whether you eat almonds or not. And the people in charge of California think, fuck it, we don't need that. Let's just shut the water off so those almond growers can't grow almonds anymore. That's the mentality. The mentality is they don't care about a product or a thing in the state of California that is made there. That is physically made there. Why? Because they're going to steal all your money through taxes. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit if there's any corporations in California because they're all living in the clouds. You're either uber rich or you're working poor. And all those people, think about it, all those people that live in Temecula, even though they're living in $500,000 houses, they're still working poor.
$500,000 homes.
Yeah, homes.
That were $75,000 homes 15 years before that.
So, I don't know. That was my bump stock thing. Pay attention to the real news. Make sure you kind of understand the argument before you get into it. Like I said, I am not a member of the NRA. I am not going to join the NRA because
we got 5 or 6 friends that when they needed the NRA wasn't there for them.
When I needed the NRA, it was something simple too. I'm not talking about some big deal. When I needed the NRA was not there. So I can't support the NRA. But as an organization and what they're doing,
they're the only ones doing it.
They're the only ones that are really doing it. And what they did with the ATF and that opinion letter was right on the money. It was exactly what needed to happen because everybody was blaming the NRA for the actions of a lone lunatic in Las Vegas. They basically said, hey, this is not our fault. the federal government legalized this bump stock. Not only did they legalize it, but we're going to let you decide whether it's legal still, because they knew that the ATF would have to, without any hesitation, would have to come back and go, well, technically it's not a machine gun, because it's not a machine gun. So they knew that. All that did was bought the NRA time, bought you time. It put a buffer between you and the lunatics that want to ban everything because they want to live in a no-cornered, soft-tissued world. They knew that. It's the same thing that's going on with, I mean, once again, I don't know if he's a genius or just a lunatic. But what Trump did for you guys and your bump stocks is he bought you time. He bought you time.
And all you guys hating Trump, who'd you vote for? Where's your better option? Whatever. We got real shit to do.
Yeah, we do.
Put this up today. Run it up fucking raw. Don't fucking filter it. Even put this side on it.
This right here? The
This right
bacon
here.
side? Bacon. You will be my evil downfall. Or it'll be this right here. My sponsors over at Pepsi.
What if they come out and we find out that all the diet drinks all had sugar in them? What if we find out that all the shit they put instead of sugar in there is all the bad parts of sugar? That's a what if. What if? All right, turn it off before we kill it.
Yeah, before I go into why the meters tell you otherwise.